In the complexity of human relationships, one of the most profound challenges is understanding the emotional needs of others. When it comes to women, these needs can often appear multifaceted or difficult to navigate, especially when societal pressures, personal insecurities, and communication barriers come into play. Yet the ancient philosophy of Stoicism offers a timeless and powerful framework to approach these challenges with clarity, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. At its essence, Stoicism teaches us that the only things we can truly control are our thoughts, actions, and responses. Everything outside of ourselves, other people, their emotions, their actions, are beyond our control. This principle, when applied to relationships, reveals an empowering truth. Rather than trying to fix or control the needs and feelings of others, we can instead focus on cultivating the right mindset within ourselves. Stoicism provides the tools to detach from ego, cultivate self-awareness, and respond with emotional resilience, all of which are essential when navigating the emotional landscapes of a partner, especially in romantic relationships. Understanding women's emotional needs is not about attempting to decipher them as problems to be solved. Rather, it's about recognizing their emotional world, validating their feelings, and responding with compassion and humility. Stoicism teaches us to prioritize empathy over self-interest, to approach difficult emotions without judgment, and to listen deeply, both to what is said and what is unsaid. In this article, we will delve deeper into how Stoic principles can enhance our ability to understand and meet the emotional needs of women, helping to build a relationship rooted in mutual respect, emotional safety, and trust. From detaching from our own expectations to practicing active listening and cultivating emotional resilience, we will explore how embracing Stoic wisdom can transform how we connect with our partners on a deeper, more meaningful level. By following the Stoic path, we don't just aim to understand women's needs more fully, but we also embark on a journey of personal growth and emotional maturity. In doing so, we create stronger, more harmonious relationships that are based not just on attraction, but on genuine understanding and support. This Stoic approach to relationships encourages us to go beyond the surface and to connect with our partners in a way that is grounded in emotional intelligence, respect, and the shared goal of growth, both as individuals and as a couple. In a world where relationships can sometimes feel overwhelming or confusing, Stoicism offers a refreshing perspective. Rather than striving to control or predict the emotions of others, we can focus on controlling how we respond and interact. With patience, mindfulness, and emotional maturity, we can build lasting, fulfilling connections, starting with a deeper understanding of the women in our lives. Number 1. The power of self-awareness in relationships, a Stoic approach. In the teachings of Stoicism, self-awareness is considered a cornerstone of personal growth and emotional intelligence. Stoics argue that understanding yourself is the first step toward understanding others. This principle is especially important in romantic relationships, where emotions, communication, and expectations often collide. By cultivating self-awareness, you not only improve your ability to understand and empathize with others, but also create a more grounded, peaceful dynamic in your relationships, particularly with women. The role of self-awareness in emotional regulation. One of the key benefits of self-awareness is the ability to regulate your emotions. In a relationship, especially with someone whose emotions and behavior might sometimes feel unpredictable, this can be a game changer. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This highlights the importance of internal control. Self-awareness helps you recognize when your emotions are being triggered, whether by a comment from your partner or an uncomfortable situation. Instead of reacting impulsively or defensively, you can pause, reflect, and respond thoughtfully. In practical terms, when you're self-aware, you can identify patterns in your emotional responses. For example, you might notice that you tend to feel insecure when a woman expresses independence or doesn't immediately share your interests. This awareness allows you to examine the root causes of your feelings, whether they stem from past experiences, fears, or societal conditioning, so that you can address them consciously rather than letting them dictate your behavior. Understanding your own needs and boundaries. Self-awareness is also crucial in understanding your own needs, desires, and boundaries. In relationships, this understanding is foundational to building a connection based on mutual respect. By recognizing what you value, what makes you feel loved, and what you require for personal growth, you can communicate these needs to your partner in a clear, calm, and non-reactive way. Likewise, knowing your boundaries prevents feelings of resentment or frustration that arise when your limits are crossed or when you give more than you are comfortable with. The Stoics emphasize that personal integrity is essential for peace of mind. By being honest with yourself about your needs and desires, you ensure that your actions align with your core values. This is particularly valuable in romantic relationships, where misunderstandings often stem from unspoken expectations. Women, like all individuals, appreciate clarity, honesty, and mutual respect. Self-awareness helps you avoid situations where you're either silently accommodating behaviors that don't suit you or, conversely, acting in ways that are not true to who you are. Recognizing the influence of external factors. Self-awareness also involves recognizing how external influences, such as societal expectations, past experiences, and cultural conditioning, affect how you interact with women. Stoicism teaches that we must not be slaves to external forces, but rather seek inner freedom through clarity and rational thought. In relationships, this means recognizing the biases or preconceptions you may have about women, relationships, or gender roles, and actively challenging them. For instance, if you were raised in an environment where traditional gender roles were emphasized, you might unconsciously expect women to behave in certain ways or assume their needs and desires are aligned with those roles. Self-awareness allows you to step back and evaluate whether these assumptions are valid or simply influenced by cultural conditioning. By questioning these assumptions, you can approach relationships with a more open mind, free from unnecessary constraints. Deepening empathy and connection. Self-awareness also enhances empathy. When you understand your own emotions and experiences, you are better equipped to empathize with others. In relationships, this is particularly important. The more self-aware you are, the more likely you are to recognize when a woman is upset or needs support. Rather than focusing on fixing the situation or becoming defensive, you can listen deeply and respond in a way that acknowledges her feelings. Stoicism teaches us that the pursuit of wisdom involves understanding others as well as ourselves. Through self-awareness, we can recognize that everyone is dealing with their own inner struggles and complexities. This level of empathy allows for a more authentic and compassionate connection. When you approach a relationship with this understanding, it reduces the likelihood of misunderstandings, assumptions, and emotional misfires. A woman feels seen and heard when you're able to respond to her needs with patience and understanding. Number 2. Control what you can. How Stoicism teaches emotional mastery in relationships. Stoicism, one of the most enduring schools of thought in philosophy, teaches us that while we cannot control everything that happens around us, we can always control our reactions. This principle is particularly relevant when it comes to relationships, where emotions often run high and misunderstandings can lead to conflict. The Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't provides a powerful framework for emotional mastery, making it easier to maintain a calm, balanced demeanor in even the most challenging interactions with others. The dichotomy of control. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the concept of the dichotomy of control, the idea that we should focus on what is within our power and let go of what is not. In relationships, this means recognizing that you cannot control another person's actions, emotions, or behaviors, but you can control how you respond to them. For example, you cannot control how a woman expresses her feelings, but you can control whether you react with patience and understanding or frustration and defensiveness. This idea can be transformative in relationships. Many conflicts arise when individuals try to control others or when they become frustrated by things outside their control. Stoicism teaches that by focusing on controlling our own responses, we create an environment of peace and emotional balance. This shift in focus helps avoid the emotional roller coaster that often accompanies power struggles, misunderstandings, or unfulfilled expectations in relationships. Emotional mastery through rational thinking. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on rational thought as a tool for emotional mastery. In a relationship, it's easy to let emotions override rational thinking, especially in heated moments. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca advocated for pausing before reacting, allowing time for reflection and rational evaluation of a situation. In the context of romantic relationships, when faced with an emotional trigger, perhaps a disagreement, a miscommunication, or feeling misunderstood, Stoicism encourages you to step back and assess the situation without immediate emotional reaction. Instead of becoming angry or defensive, you can ask yourself questions like, "Is this within my control?" Or "How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values and maintains peace?" For instance, if a woman expresses dissatisfaction rather than reacting with defensiveness or frustration, a Stoic approach involves staying calm, listening actively, and seeking to understand her perspective before responding. By practicing this kind of emotional detachment, you prevent knee-jerk reactions and instead choose a thoughtful, measured response that helps resolve conflict without escalating it. Cultivating patience and resilience. Another key element of Stoicism that supports emotional mastery in relationships is the cultivation of patience. Stoics understand that life, and by extension relationships, are unpredictable. We are bound to face challenges, disappointments, and conflicts. However, rather than reacting with frustration or impatience, Stoics teach that we should embrace these difficulties as opportunities for growth and resilience. In relationships, patience is essential. When you're in a relationship with a woman, you might encounter times when her mood fluctuates, or she may not communicate in ways you expect. Rather than getting upset or impatient, Stoicism encourages you to remain resilient. Understand that people have their own internal struggles and emotional responses. Your role is to offer understanding and support, not to try to control or change them. For example, if your partner has a bad day and is distant or upset, the Stoic approach would be to exercise patience, recognizing that her emotions are part of her experience and may not be a reflection of you. This ability to remain patient and resilient rather than reacting emotionally strengthens the relationship and prevents unnecessary tension. Detachment from unhelpful expectations. Expectations are one of the greatest sources of emotional turbulence in relationships. We often expect others to behave in ways that align with our desires, which can lead to disappointment when those expectations aren't met. Stoicism teaches the importance of detaching from unrealistic expectations and accepting things as they are. In relationships, This means accepting your partner as they are, not as you wish them to be. If you expect that a woman should always react a certain way or fulfill certain roles, you're likely to be disappointed when she doesn't meet those expectations. By letting go of these rigid expectations, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional stress. A Stoic approach to expectations in relationships involves embracing the reality of the other person's individuality. If she behaves differently than you imagined, instead of feeling frustrated or upset, you can approach the situation with acceptance, understanding that her actions are part of her unique character. This mindset helps to cultivate a relationship based on mutual respect, rather than one shaped by unattainable ideals. Taking responsibility for your reactions. One of the most empowering aspects of Stoicism is its focus on personal responsibility. Stoics believe that we are the architects of our emotional experience. Our thoughts shape our feelings, and our feelings shape our actions. In relationships, this means taking full responsibility for your emotional reactions. When something goes wrong, instead of blaming your partner or external circumstances, a Stoic would ask, "What can I learn from this? How can I take responsibility for my own response?" For example, if a disagreement escalates into a heated argument, a Stoic would examine their own role in the conflict. Did they react with impatience or defensiveness? Did they contribute to the misunderstanding? By taking responsibility for your reactions, you gain emotional clarity and control, allowing you to approach the situation more rationally and resolve the conflict in a healthier way. Emotional equanimity in the face of disagreement. Disagreements are inevitable in any relationship. However, Stoicism teaches us to approach these disagreements with equanimity, a state of emotional balance. Instead of viewing conflicts as battles to be won, Stoics see them as opportunities to practice wisdom, patience, and understanding. By maintaining emotional equanimity. Number 3. The Stoic virtue of patience. How to build stronger connections with women. In the fast-paced world of modern relationships, patience is often undervalued. However, one of the core Stoic virtues is patience, which is not merely the act of waiting, but the capacity to remain calm and composed in the face of difficulty or uncertainty. The Stoics believed that cultivating patience is essential for personal growth and peace of mind, and it plays a crucial role in building strong, meaningful connections, particularly with women. Patience, when practiced in relationships, helps create a stable foundation of trust, empathy, and understanding. For men seeking to build deeper, more fulfilling connections with women, embracing the Stoic virtue of patience can significantly enhance communication, reduce conflict, and foster emotional intimacy. The essence of Stoic patience. Patience, in the Stoic sense, is not passive or resigned. Rather, it is an active choice to remain in control of one's emotions and actions, regardless of external circumstances. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In relationships, this self-mastery allows you to maintain composure, even when emotions run high or when things aren't unfolding as you expect. Unlike frustration or impatience, which often arise from trying to control or rush situations, Stoic patience involves embracing the present moment and accepting that certain things, like the pace at which a relationship develops, cannot be hurried. By practicing patience, you show respect for your partner's emotional process, needs, and timelines. This fosters trust, which is the cornerstone of any meaningful connection. Listening with patience. The key to understanding. One of the most important ways that patience strengthens relationships is through active listening. When you practice Stoic patience, you approach conversations with a mindset of understanding rather than reacting immediately. In relationships with women, Active listening means giving her your full attention without interrupting or rushing to offer solutions. Women often value partners who listen attentively, without judgment or the desire to fix the situation right away. By practicing patience, you allow her the space to express herself fully, which can strengthen emotional intimacy and make her feel seen and heard. The Stoic approach encourages you to be present in the moment and listen not just to the words spoken, but to the emotions and intentions behind them. This level of listening also allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively. When you respond from a place of calm and understanding, the conversation becomes more productive, reducing the likelihood of conflict and fostering a stronger emotional connection. Patience in building trust and respect. Trust is an essential element in any healthy relationship, and Stoic patience plays a crucial role in building that trust. Trust is earned over time through consistent actions and emotional reliability. Women, like anyone, value stability and consistency in their relationships, and Stoic patience helps you embody these qualities. Rather than rushing to make things progress quickly, patience allows you to take the time to understand your partner's needs and desires, giving her the assurance that you are genuinely committed to the relationship. When you practice patience, you also show respect for her individual journey. Every person has their own pace of emotional growth, and by exercising patience, you create an environment where she feels safe to open up and take the necessary time to build a deeper connection with you. This mutual respect creates a foundation of trust that strengthens the bond between you. Patience with the unpredictability of emotions. One of the key challenges in relationships is dealing with the unpredictability of emotions. Women, like all individuals, experience a range of emotions that can sometimes seem erratic or difficult to understand. This emotional complexity is often where impatience and frustration arise, especially if you're expecting certain behaviors or responses from your partner. Patience in navigating the pace of the relationship. In the early stages of a relationship, it's common to feel eager to move things forward quickly, whether it's through physical intimacy, defining the relationship, or making long-term plans. However, Stoic patience teaches us that rushing relationships can undermine their depth and stability. The Stoic approach encourages you to allow the relationship to unfold naturally at its own pace. For example, if a woman is hesitant about advancing the relationship or needs more time to establish trust, patience allows you to respect her process without pushing her or making her feel pressured. Instead of rushing into commitments or expectations, you can take the time to understand her values, goals, and desires, which deepens the connection and strengthens the foundation of the relationship. Patience in this context also involves learning to enjoy the journey of getting to know each other, rather than focusing solely on the destination. By embracing the present moment and being patient with the process, you create a relationship that is rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and genuine connection. Cultivating emotional resilience. In Stoicism, patience is linked to emotional resilience, the ability to remain steady in the face of adversity. Relationships are filled with ups and downs, and challenges will inevitably arise. Whether it's a disagreement, a misunderstanding, or external stressors, Stoic patience enables you to handle these situations with grace and composure. When you practice patience, you develop the resilience to weather emotional storms without allowing them to disrupt the foundation of the relationship. This emotional stability is particularly valuable in maintaining peace during conflicts, as it helps you stay level-headed and avoid reactive behaviors, which can escalate tensions. Number 4. Embracing the uncertainty. Why Stoicism helps in navigating the complexity of women's emotions. One of the most challenging aspects of relationships is navigating the complexities of emotions. Emotions, particularly those of women, can often seem unpredictable, fluctuating with external circumstances or internal feelings. In modern relationships, this emotional variability can lead to misunderstandings, frustration, and conflict. However, Stoicism offers a framework for embracing this emotional complexity with understanding and equanimity. The Stoic approach to life emphasizes accepting uncertainty and focusing on what we can control. Instead of resisting the unpredictable nature of emotions or attempting to manipulate them, Stoicism encourages us to embrace emotional fluctuations as part of the human experience. In relationships, especially those with women, this philosophy can provide clarity, peace, and emotional resilience. Understanding the Stoic approach to uncertainty. Stoicism teaches that the universe is governed by change, and much of life is inherently uncertain. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This principle is key to understanding how Stoicism helps in relationships. Instead of expecting emotional stability or predictability, Stoicism advises us to prepare for uncertainty and focus on cultivating an inner state of calm, regardless of external circumstances. When it comes to women's emotions, Stoicism teaches that we cannot control how they feel or how they express those feelings. Just as we cannot control the weather, we cannot control the emotional ebbs and flows of another person. However, what we can control is our response. By embracing the uncertainty of emotions, we stop trying to impose order on something that is naturally fluid, and instead, we develop the ability to stay grounded and clear-headed amidst emotional storms. The role of acceptance in navigating emotional complexity. At the core of Stoic practice is acceptance, the understanding that certain things are beyond our control. Emotions, particularly in the context of relationships, often shift without warning. A woman may be joyful one moment and withdrawn the next, and these changes can create feelings of confusion or insecurity. The Stoic approach teaches us to accept that emotions are dynamic and that they do not always need to make sense. Rather than trying to fix or understand every emotional shift, a Stoic responds with equanimity, a calmness of mind that is unaffected by external events. In the face of emotional unpredictability, the Stoic can remain composed, choosing not to overreact or be swept away by the tide of emotion. For example, if a woman becomes distant or upset for reasons that seem unclear, a Stoic would acknowledge that her emotions are valid, even if they are not fully understood, and would respond with patience and empathy. This acceptance reduces the emotional strain often caused by misunderstandings. Instead of seeing emotional fluctuations as something to be feared or avoided, the Stoic sees them as a natural part of human experience and responds with grace. By embracing emotional uncertainty, the Stoic creates space for deeper connection and mutual understanding, without getting bogged down by the unpredictability of emotions. Cultivating emotional detachment, a powerful tool for calmness. Another key Stoic practice that aids in navigating complex emotions is emotional detachment. This does not mean suppressing emotions or becoming cold and indifferent, but rather creating the mental space to reflect before reacting. Emotional detachment enables us to step back from intense feelings and see the bigger picture. In relationships with women, emotional detachment can be particularly valuable during moments of tension or emotional intensity. If a disagreement arises or a woman is upset, a Stoic would practice detachment by taking a moment to pause, reflect, and consider their own response. Rather than reacting impulsively, The Stoic seeks to understand the situation more clearly, removing themselves from the immediate emotional charge and viewing the interaction with rationality and objectivity. For instance, if a woman expresses frustration or anger, instead of immediately defending oneself or retaliating, the Stoic approach is to step back, remain calm, and give her the space to express her feelings. Afterward, the Stoic can engage in a thoughtful, compassionate discussion. Emotional detachment allows for healthier communication, as it helps prevent the escalation of conflict and fosters a more balanced approach to problem solving. The importance of patience and resilience. The Stoic virtue of patience is deeply intertwined with navigating emotional complexity. Emotional unpredictability in relationships is inevitable, but with patience we can ride out emotional storms without feeling overwhelmed. Women, like all individuals, can experience a range of emotions that fluctuate from one moment to the next. Rather than expecting emotional consistency, Stoicism teaches us to accept this unpredictability with patience. Patience in this context is the ability to remain calm and composed when emotions are in flux, allowing both partners to process their feelings at their own pace. For example, if a woman feels overwhelmed or upset, a Stoic partner will offer space and time for her to process, rather than rushing her to snap out of it or trying to fix the situation immediately. Stoic patience also means accepting that some emotions take time to heal and that not every disagreement requires an immediate resolution. This resilience, born out of patience, allows for long-term emotional health in relationships. When we practice patience in the face of emotional uncertainty, we build stronger bonds based on mutual understanding and respect. Rather than becoming frustrated or disillusioned by emotional ups and downs, the Stoic sees them as opportunities to strengthen the relationship through empathy, care, and resilience. The power of reflection and perspective. Another key aspect of Stoicism is self-reflection. When navigating the emotional complexity of relationships, it is easy to get caught up in the immediate emotional reactions, especially if there is tension or miscommunication. Stoicism encourages us to take a step back and engage in reflective thinking. When faced with a situation where a woman's emotions are confusing or difficult to understand, a Stoic takes the time to reflect on the situation. What are the underlying factors contributing to her feelings? Is there something external that is affecting her emotional state? Is the emotional response directed at something personal, or is it the result of a broader circumstance? By reflecting on these questions, the Stoic gains a deeper understanding of the situation and can approach it with empathy rather than judgment. Stoicism teaches us that emotional responses are often more complex than they appear on the surface. By reflecting on the situation and putting it into perspective, the Stoic is better equipped to navigate the emotional landscape with a clearer mind. Number 5. Detaching from expectations. How Stoicism reduces disappointment in dating can often be an emotional roller coaster, filled with high hopes, deep connections, and, unfortunately, the occasional letdown. When we enter the dating world, we carry with us expectations about how things should unfold, how a person should behave, or what the relationship should look like. However, these expectations can often lead to disappointment, frustration, and disillusionment. Stoicism, a philosophy based on resilience, acceptance, and emotional control, offers powerful tools to help individuals detach from these expectations and experience dating with a clearer, more balanced mindset. At the heart of Stoic philosophy is the idea that we cannot control the external world, including other people's behavior or how a relationship develops. What we can control is our internal response to these events. By letting go of rigid expectations and accepting the flow of life as it comes, we can reduce the emotional turmoil that often accompanies dating and form healthier, more fulfilling relationships. The nature of expectations in dating. Expectations in dating often arise from our desires or preconceived notions about what we want in a partner and what a successful relationship looks like. These expectations can take many forms. Perhaps you expect to fall in love immediately, or you believe that your partner should behave in a specific way to meet your needs. You may also expect that your time and effort in dating should be reciprocated with a certain level of commitment or attention. The challenge arises when these expectations aren't met. In such cases, disappointment can quickly set in. If someone doesn't respond to your messages the way you expect, or if a relationship doesn't progress as anticipated, you may feel frustrated, rejected, or let down. This can lead to a cycle of negative thinking where you start to question your own worth or your approach to dating. Stoicism provides a solution to this cycle by teaching us that expectations, especially those we place on others, are often the root cause of our emotional distress. Instead of expecting the world and people to behave according to our desires, Stoicism encourages us to accept reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. The Stoic principle of what is up to us. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. According to the Stoics, we can only control our own thoughts, actions, and reactions. Everything else, the behavior of others, the outcome of a date, or the course of a relationship, lies beyond our control. By recognizing this distinction, we free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations. When it comes to dating, this means understanding that the outcome of a date or a relationship cannot be predetermined. You cannot control whether someone likes you or how they choose to act, but you can control how you respond to these situations. Instead of expecting a perfect date or a particular result, you can approach dating with an open mind, appreciating each experience for what it offers without being overly attached to any specific outcome. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "We are disturbed not by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." This principle applies directly to dating. When we release rigid expectations and accept that things may not go as planned, we can approach each interaction with a sense of curiosity and ease rather than fear or frustration. Letting go of control, practicing acceptance. When you enter the dating world with a mindset rooted in Stoic philosophy, you begin to detach from the need to control outcomes. Instead of obsessing over whether a particular date will lead to a relationship or whether the person you're interested in will reciprocate your feelings, you focus on the present moment and embrace the experience itself. By practicing acceptance, you are no longer setting yourself up for disappointment. For instance, if someone cancels plans or doesn't meet your expectations, rather than feeling rejected, you can accept the situation as it is. This doesn't mean you don't care or that you're indifferent. It simply means that you understand that external events are beyond your control, and you choose to respond with emotional composure. You can also reflect on the positive aspects of the situation, such as the opportunity to meet someone new or to learn something about yourself. Acceptance allows you to reduce the emotional weight of dating and relationships. You no longer tie your happiness or sense of worth to the outcome of your interactions. Instead, you find contentment in the process, knowing that each experience adds to your growth and understanding of what you want in a partner and relationship. Practicing emotional resilience. Dating, like any area of life, is filled with emotional highs and lows. A successful date can lift your spirits, while a disappointing experience can leave you feeling deflated. Stoicism teaches us that emotional resilience, maintaining a sense of balance and inner peace despite external circumstances, is crucial for mental well-being. When you detach from expectations, you create space for emotional resilience. For example, if a date doesn't go well or a relationship comes to an unexpected end, you won't allow yourself to be devastated by the outcome. Instead, you recognize that setbacks are a natural part of life, and they don't define your worth or dictate your future happiness. Just as the Stoics embraced challenges as opportunities for growth, you can see disappointments in dating as chances to learn more about yourself, refine your approach, and improve your emotional responses. Emotional resilience also involves the ability to practice gratitude in the face of adversity. Rather than focusing on what went wrong or what you lost, you can focus on the positives, such as the lessons learned, the self-awareness gained, and the new opportunities that await. This shift in perspective is what allows you to maintain your sense of well-being, regardless of the outcome of any particular dating experience. The freedom of detachment. One of the most powerful gifts Stoicism offers in dating is detachment, not in the sense of being emotionally distant or cold, but in the sense of not being overly attached to any particular outcome or individual. When you detach from the need for validation or the desire to control the course of the relationship, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional turmoil. You are no longer bound by the expectation that things will unfold in a certain way. Instead, you allow life to take its course with openness and flexibility. This freedom of detachment allows you to approach dating with a sense of lightness and curiosity rather than desperation or anxiety. You can enjoy the process of meeting new people, discovering shared interests, and experiencing emotional connections without the heavy burden of expectation. In doing so, you foster healthier relationships, ones that are based on mutual respect, shared values, and genuine connection rather than the pursuit of a specific outcome. Number 6. The role of rationality. Why rational thinking enhances your understanding of women in relationships. Emotions often take center stage, and rightfully so. Emotional connection, empathy, and understanding are essential for healthy interactions. However, what many overlook is the importance of rational thinking, particularly in navigating complex dynamics such as romantic relationships. Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in logic and reason, offers valuable insights into why rational thinking can significantly enhance our understanding of others, including women. Rationality doesn't diminish the value of emotions, but complements them. By balancing emotion with reason, you can approach relationships with clarity, patience, and objectivity. This balance is crucial when attempting to understand and communicate effectively with women, whose emotions and actions may sometimes seem unpredictable or difficult to interpret. The Stoic approach to rationality. Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts and actions should be guided by rationality. The Stoics believed that while we cannot control external events, we can control our responses by using reason. They emphasized the power of reason to discern what is true, good, and worth pursuing, regardless of external circumstances. In relationships, this rational approach can help us understand both our own emotions and those of others, enabling us to react thoughtfully and constructively. One of the core principles of Stoicism is that emotions such as anger, fear, and frustration often arise from irrational thinking. For example, if you feel frustrated because a woman didn't respond to your message the way you expected, it might be because you're attaching unnecessary meaning to her actions. Rational thinking helps you detach from those assumptions and evaluate the situation with more clarity rather than letting emotions dictate your response. Overcoming assumptions and expectations. One of the major pitfalls in relationships is the tendency to form assumptions and expectations about others' behaviors. especially when it comes to women. We might assume that a woman's actions are motivated by something specific, like a desire for commitment, or we may expect her to act according to our timeline or desires. These assumptions often lead to misunderstandings, frustration, and unmet expectations. Rational thinking allows us to evaluate situations more objectively, without the cloud of assumptions. Instead of jumping to conclusions or assuming that a woman's behavior means something specific, e.g., she's disinterested or playing games, rationality invites us to ask questions and seek clarity. Are there external factors affecting her mood or actions? Is there something I'm missing or misinterpreting? By applying reason, we can separate fact from assumption and avoid unnecessary emotional turmoil. Rational thinking also encourages us to communicate openly and clearly. If something is unclear, or if we feel confused about a woman's feelings or intentions, we can ask for clarification instead of assuming the worst. By addressing uncertainty directly and calmly, we prevent misunderstandings that could lead to emotional distress or unnecessary conflict. Reducing emotional reactivity. Emotions are a natural and important part of being human, but when we allow them to dictate our actions, they can lead to impulsive or regretful decisions. For example, if a woman reacts in a way you didn't expect, perhaps by becoming upset or withdrawing, you might feel triggered and respond defensively out of frustration or insecurity. In such moments, irrational emotional responses can escalate conflict and hinder meaningful communication. Stoicism teaches us to manage emotional reactivity by applying rational thought. By pausing and reflecting before reacting, we can evaluate the situation more objectively and choose a response that is calm, respectful, and conducive to positive resolution. For example, instead of reacting impulsively to a woman's emotional outburst, you might take a moment to consider the underlying reasons for her reaction and think through how best to address it. In this way, rational thinking acts as a mediator between emotional impulses and thoughtful actions, helping us maintain control over our responses and ensuring that we engage in more productive, compassionate conversations. Enhancing empathy and perspective. Taking. Rational thinking isn't just about evaluating situations objectively. It also plays a key role in enhancing empathy and perspective taking. Understanding women, or anyone for that matter, requires the ability to step outside our own emotional experience and consider things from their perspective. Rationality helps us to assess a situation from a more balanced standpoint, allowing us to understand the context, motivations, and feelings of others without bias or projection. For example, if a woman is upset or behaving in a way that doesn't make sense to you, rational thinking allows you to consider various factors, such as her personal experiences, emotional state, or external stressors that might be influencing her behavior. Rather than jumping to conclusions or taking her actions personally, rational thinking encourages us to ask questions and gain a deeper understanding of her feelings. This process of empathy is not just an emotional exercise. It requires rational thought to discern how best to respond to her needs. You may not always understand why a woman feels a certain way, but rational thinking allows you to approach the situation with compassion and a willingness to listen rather than reacting out of frustration or defensiveness. Managing disagreements and conflict with rationality. Disagreements are inevitable in any relationship, and dating is no exception. When conflicts arise, emotions can run high, and it's easy to become entrenched in our own positions, making it difficult to find common ground. However, rational thinking provides the tools necessary to navigate these difficult conversations constructively. By maintaining a calm, rational demeanor during disagreements, you can de-escalate tension and focus on finding solutions. Instead of getting caught up in heated arguments or personal attacks, rationality allows you to focus on the issues at hand, weigh different perspectives, and engage in problem solving. This approach is especially important when communicating with women who may approach conflict differently due to a variety of factors, including emotional sensitivity or social conditioning. For example, if you're having a disagreement about a particular issue, rational thinking helps you remain calm and ensure that the conversation stays focused on resolving the issue rather than allowing it to spiral into a fight. You can listen actively, ask clarifying questions, and propose solutions based on logic and mutual benefit. This approach not only reduces conflict, but also strengthens the relationship by fostering healthy communication. The role of rationality in self-awareness. Rational thinking also plays an essential role in self-awareness, a key element in understanding others. The Stoics believed that the most important task in life was to understand oneself, and rationality aids in this pursuit by helping us identify our own emotional triggers, biases, and expectations. In the context of dating, rationality allows us to reflect on our own thoughts and behaviors, helping us recognize when we may be projecting our own desires or insecurities onto others. For instance, if you feel frustrated when a woman doesn't respond to your texts quickly, rational thinking helps you realize that this may be more about your own need for validation or control than her actual behavior. By understanding our own motivations and emotional responses, we can engage more authentically and calmly with others, rather than letting our own internal struggles influence our interactions. Number 7. Building resilience. How Stoic practices help you handle rejection. In dating, rejection is an inevitable part of dating. Whether it's a casual date that doesn't lead to a second one, or someone you've developed strong feelings for turning you down, rejection can sting deeply. However, rather than viewing rejection as a personal failure or an emotional setback, the Stoic philosophy offers powerful tools to help you build resilience and face rejection with a calm and rational mindset. By applying Stoic principles, you can transform the pain of rejection into an opportunity for growth, self-improvement, and emotional strength. Understanding Stoicism's approach to adversity. Stoicism, an ancient Greek philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium, teaches that we should focus only on what is within our control and accept what is not. The Stoic ideal is to maintain emotional equilibrium in the face of life's challenges, whether those challenges are external events or internal struggles. For the Stoics, adversity and rejection were not seen as negative events, but as opportunities for practicing resilience, learning, and personal growth. At the core of Stoicism is the idea that we cannot control the actions or feelings of others. We cannot dictate whether someone will return our affections, how a date will unfold, or whether a relationship will grow. The only thing we can control is how we respond to these situations. In dating, when faced with rejection, Stoicism teaches us to shift our focus from the outcome we desire to how we handle the situation, making resilience and emotional strength the true measures of success. The practice of emotional detachment. Stoicism encourages emotional detachment, not in the sense of being emotionally numb, but in the sense of not allowing external events to control your emotional state. When we place too much emotional investment in a specific outcome, such as a successful relationship or gaining someone's affection, we open ourselves up to unnecessary suffering. The Stoics advocate for a balanced approach. Care deeply about your own values and the things you can control, but remain detached from the need to control or attach too strongly to external outcomes. For instance, if you've been dating someone for a while, and they express that they are not ready for a commitment or they no longer wish to pursue the relationship, the emotional pain can feel overwhelming. However, through Stoic detachment, You can remind yourself that their actions are not a direct reflection of your worth. Their decision is simply a result of their own journey, circumstances, or personal feelings, and it is something you cannot control. By detaching your sense of self-worth from the outcome, you reduce the emotional intensity of rejection. This type of emotional resilience does not mean suppressing feelings of sadness or disappointment. It means acknowledging those feelings without allowing them to dictate your actions or sense of self. You can experience pain, but you don't need to let it control your life or define who you are. Reframing. Rejection, a learning opportunity. Another essential Stoic practice for handling rejection is reframing. Rejection can be painful, but it also provides an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. The Stoics believed that all challenges, no matter how painful, offer valuable lessons. By embracing rejection as an opportunity to learn more about yourself, your needs, and what you truly value in relationships, you can use the experience as a stepping stone to personal development. Instead of seeing rejection as a failure, you can ask yourself what you can learn from the situation. Did you overlook red flags or rush into something too quickly? Did you place too much emphasis on someone's approval or validation? Rejection provides a moment to reflect on your approach to dating and to adjust your mindset or behavior in future relationships. Furthermore, rejection can teach you the importance of resilience, the ability to bounce back stronger from setbacks. The Stoics taught that strength is not built by avoiding hardship, but by facing it with courage and wisdom. Every rejection is a small test of your emotional resilience, and how you respond to it will shape your growth as a person. Over time, this practice builds emotional fortitude, helping you become more grounded and confident in your approach to relationships. Developing gratitude and acceptance. Stoicism also encourages the practice of gratitude, especially in the face of disappointment. When rejected, it's easy to become fixated on what you've lost or what didn't happen. However, practicing gratitude helps shift your focus to the positives, such as the lessons learned, the experiences gained, and the clarity that rejection can bring. You might reflect on the qualities you are seeking in a partner and use the rejection as an opportunity to refine your understanding of your own desires and boundaries. By accepting rejection as part of the natural ebb and flow of life, you free yourself from the cycle of disappointment. You accept that things do not always unfold as you hope, but that does not diminish your value or potential for future happiness. Rejection, when viewed through a Stoic lens, becomes less of a roadblock and more of a course correction, a way to refine your path towards finding a more suitable match. The importance of self-compassion. While Stoicism teaches resilience, it also emphasizes the importance of self-compassion. Stoics were not indifferent to their own suffering. They simply understood that enduring pain is a part of life. In dealing with rejection, it's important to treat yourself with kindness. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that come with rejection, whether that's sadness, frustration, or disappointment, but do so without judgment or self-blame. Self-compassion helps you acknowledge that rejection is a natural part of dating and that you are not less worthy because of it. You are simply navigating the complexities of human relationships, and each experience, whether good or bad, is an opportunity for growth. Number 8. Self-mastery, the key to attracting and understanding women. In the complex realm of dating and relationships, one of the most important qualities that can attract and maintain genuine connections is self-mastery. Self-mastery goes beyond self-control. It encompasses the ability to understand and regulate your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors in a way that fosters personal growth and positive interactions with others. The Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on self-discipline and emotional intelligence, offers profound insights into how self-mastery can enhance your understanding of women and improve your relationships with them. What is self-mastery? Self-mastery is the ability to govern your actions, emotions, and desires in alignment with your values and long-term goals, rather than being driven by impulses or external circumstances. For Stoics, self-mastery is one of the highest virtues, as it allows individuals to live a life of reason, purpose, and tranquility, regardless of external events or challenges. In the context of relationships, self-mastery plays a pivotal role in how we interact with others. It enables us to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, to communicate clearly and effectively, and to remain calm under pressure. Most importantly, self-mastery helps us understand ourselves more deeply, which is essential when trying to understand and connect with others, particularly women who may have different communication styles, emotional expressions, and needs. Self-mastery begins with self-awareness. The first step in achieving self-mastery is cultivating self-awareness. This is the ability to observe and understand your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment. In relationships, this means becoming aware of your triggers, what makes you angry, frustrated, or insecure, and learning to manage them effectively. For example, if you find yourself feeling anxious or insecure when dating, self-awareness allows you to identify the source of that anxiety. Is it a fear of rejection, a need for validation? Understanding the root causes of these feelings gives you the power to control them rather than let them dictate your actions. By practicing mindfulness and reflecting on your emotional responses, you can cultivate a deeper understanding of your own needs and desires, which in turn helps you communicate more effectively and empathetically with women. Moreover, self-awareness helps you identify patterns in your past relationships. Are you drawn to the same type of person? Do you repeat certain behaviors, such as being overly accommodating or avoiding conflict? Self-awareness enables you to recognize these patterns and break free from unproductive or self-sabotaging tendencies, allowing you to approach future relationships with greater clarity and maturity. Emotional control. The Stoic approach. One of the key components of self-mastery is emotional control, the ability to regulate your emotional reactions in a healthy and constructive way. Stoicism teaches that emotions themselves are not inherently bad, but it's our attachment to or exaggeration of them that can lead to unnecessary suffering. In dating, emotional control allows you to remain composed and centered in the face of challenges or unexpected situations. For example, if a woman doesn't respond to your message as quickly as you'd hoped, or if she expresses disinterest, it's natural to feel disappointed or frustrated. However, instead of letting those emotions dictate your behavior, self-mastery empowers you to pause, reflect, and choose a more rational response. The Stoic practice of negative visualization can also be helpful in managing emotional expectations. By imagining worst-case scenarios, such as a date not going as planned or a romantic connection not developing as you hoped, you prepare yourself emotionally for rejection or disappointment. This reduces the sting of these experiences, making it easier to accept and move forward with grace. In this way, emotional control doesn't mean suppressing feelings, but managing them in a way that doesn't compromise your peace of mind or well-being. Self-discipline. Setting healthy boundaries. Self-discipline is another crucial aspect of self-mastery. It involves the ability to set clear goals and adhere to a plan of action, even when it requires sacrifices or delayed gratification. In relationships, self-discipline means knowing when to assert your boundaries and when to compromise while remaining true to your core values. For example, it takes self-discipline to avoid falling into unhealthy dating patterns, such as pursuing relationships that don't align with your values or tolerating behaviors that make you uncomfortable. It also requires self-discipline to respect a woman's boundaries and needs, even when you may feel emotionally attached or eager to move forward in the relationship. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In the context of dating, mastering yourself means taking responsibility for your own emotional and mental well-being. It means recognizing when you're settling for less than what you deserve, when you're tolerating unhealthy dynamics, or when you're ignoring your own needs in the pursuit of approval. By exercising self-discipline, you ensure that your relationships are grounded in mutual respect, trust, and authenticity. The importance of patience and delayed gratification. Another essential aspect of self-mastery is the ability to practice patience and delayed gratification. In today's fast-paced world, there's often pressure to rush into relationships or seek instant validation. But self-mastery teaches us the value of patience. Whether it's taking time to truly get to know someone, respecting the natural progression of a relationship, or allowing time for both parties to develop trust and emotional intimacy, patience is essential in building meaningful connections. The Stoics believed in accepting the natural rhythm of life and not rushing into things out of impatience or fear of missing out. In relationships, this means resisting the urge to force an emotional connection or jump ahead to commitment before the time is right. Instead, you learn to trust the process, understanding that healthy relationships take time to develop and flourish. Confidence born from self-mastery. A key benefit of self-mastery is the confidence that comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and how to regulate your emotions and actions. Confidence is magnetic. It's not about arrogance or overconfidence, but about having a quiet, assured presence that comes from within. When you are self-mastered, you are less likely to seek validation from external sources or be swayed by external opinions. In dating, confidence allows you to approach women with authenticity, free from the need to impress or manipulate. You are secure in yourself, which creates an environment of trust and openness. Women are naturally drawn to people who are confident in their own skin, as it signals emotional stability and maturity, qualities that are essential for any meaningful relationship. Furthermore, confidence enables you to handle rejection with grace. Rather than feeling devastated or insecure when a woman is not interested, you are able to recognize that her decision is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a matter of compatibility. With self-mastery, rejection doesn't threaten your sense of self. It simply becomes part of the learning process. Understanding women through self-mastery. Finally, self-mastery allows you to understand women better. By mastering yourself, you become more attuned to your own emotions and behaviors, which enhances your ability to empathize with others. You recognize that women, like everyone, have their own experiences, desires, and emotions, and you approach them with respect and understanding, rather than judgment or projection. When you have a strong sense of self, you are less likely to view a woman's actions through a lens of insecurity or fear. Instead, you can engage with her openly without letting your own emotional baggage or assumptions get in the way. By listening attentively, being present, and asking thoughtful questions, you foster deeper connections that go beyond surface-level attraction. Number 9. Stoic calm in conflict. How to handle arguments with women without losing. Your cool disagreements and conflicts are inevitable in any relationship. They arise from differences in values, communication styles, or simply the natural ebb and flow of emotions. However, the way we handle conflict can make or break a relationship. When it comes to arguments with women, Maintaining calm and composure is not just about avoiding conflict, but about engaging with it in a constructive and respectful way. This is where Stoicism, the ancient philosophy of emotional resilience, can be an invaluable tool. By learning how to apply Stoic principles in the heat of an argument, you can navigate conflicts without losing your cool, strengthening your connection in the process. Understanding Stoicism's approach to conflict. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot always control external events or other people's behavior, we can control how we respond to them. The Stoic approach to conflict centers around emotional regulation and rational thinking. Instead of reacting impulsively to triggers, Stoicism encourages us to pause, reflect, and choose how to respond in a way that aligns with our values and long-term goals. For Stoics, peace of mind is a priority. They believe that allowing external events, like arguments, to disturb your inner calm only causes unnecessary suffering. When dealing with conflict, Stoicism teaches us to maintain a sense of tranquility, regardless of the intensity of the disagreement. By practicing this, we not only protect our emotional well-being, but also create an environment where productive conversation can take place, rather than escalating the argument. Recognize what you can and cannot control. The first principle of Stoic philosophy that is vital in conflict resolution is recognizing the division of control. The Stoics believed that there are things within our control, our thoughts, emotions, actions, and things outside of our control, other people's thoughts, emotions, and actions. When an argument with a woman arises, it's important to remember that you cannot control how she reacts or what she feels, only how you respond. This perspective helps to take the emotional charge out of the situation. For example, if your partner becomes upset over something you said, instead of trying to control her emotions or dismiss her feelings, you focus on controlling your own reaction. If you respond with calmness and understanding, it's much more likely that the conversation can be productive and lead to mutual resolution. On the other hand, if you let yourself get carried away by frustration or anger, it can escalate the situation and cause further damage to the relationship. Cultivate emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is not about being indifferent or cold. Rather, it is about maintaining control over your emotions, so they do not overwhelm your ability to think clearly and respond rationally. In the context of an argument, this means not letting anger, hurt, or frustration dictate your actions. Stoics would advise you to step back and recognize that emotions, though valid, should not control your behavior. During an argument, if you feel your temper rising or emotions taking over, pause and take a deep breath. Instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to detach from the emotional charge of the situation. A simple Stoic technique is to ask yourself, is this something within my control? What is the most rational response here? This helps to shift your mindset from reacting impulsively to responding thoughtfully. Emotional detachment also involves avoiding unnecessary escalation. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, especially if the other person is raising their voice or becoming defensive. However, by practicing detachment, you prevent yourself from mirroring that behavior. Instead, you can respond calmly, which can often de-escalate the argument and create space for a more meaningful discussion. Practice. Listening, not just responding. One of the most valuable Stoic skills in conflict resolution is the ability to listen attentively without immediately preparing your rebuttal. Often in arguments, we are so focused on defending ourselves or winning the argument that we fail to truly hear what the other person is saying. Stoicism teaches us to engage in thoughtful dialogue, where we not only express our own views, but also listen with empathy to understand the other person's perspective. When you practice active listening, you shift the focus from proving your point to understanding the other person's feelings and reasoning. This allows you to engage with the argument more constructively and avoid turning it into a battle of egos. Stoics like Epictetus advised that we should listen carefully, speak thoughtfully, and act with purpose. In doing so, you can show respect for the other person's emotions and create a safe space for honest communication. Reframe the argument as an opportunity for growth. Another key Stoic practice is reframing. Rather than viewing conflict as a negative experience to be avoided, Stoicism teaches us to see it as an opportunity for personal growth and learning. Every argument, no matter how tense, provides an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and our partner. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius encouraged his followers to treat every challenge as a chance to practice virtue and improve. When you reframe an argument as a learning experience, it shifts your perspective from trying to win to seeking understanding. You might ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve my communication? What is this disagreement teaching me about myself or my partner? By reframing the situation, you also reduce the emotional weight of the argument. It's no longer a battle to defend your pride, but rather an opportunity to build a deeper understanding and strengthen your connection. This mindset encourages growth and mutual respect, rather than fostering division and resentment. Maintain perspective and avoid personalization. Stoicism teaches us the importance of maintaining perspective in the face of conflict. One of the greatest obstacles to resolving an argument is personalizing the situation. When emotions are high, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the argument is a personal attack or that the other person's behavior is a reflection of their feelings toward you. However, Stoics remind us that people act based on their own perceptions, emotions, and circumstances, which may have little to do with us personally. When you avoid personalizing the conflict, it becomes easier to keep your cool and avoid feeling insulted or defensive. Instead of assuming that the other person is attacking you, try to understand that they may simply be reacting to their own emotions or frustrations. This helps you approach the situation from a place of curiosity and understanding, rather than defensiveness. Practice forgiveness and letting go. Finally, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of forgiveness and letting go of grudges. Holding on to resentment or anger from a conflict only causes suffering and prevents you from moving forward. After a disagreement, take the time to reflect on what was said, what could have been handled differently, and what you can learn from the experience. Once the conversation is over, let go of the negative emotions associated with the conflict and move on with a clear mind. In relationships, practicing forgiveness not only helps you maintain peace of mind, but also fosters emotional intimacy and trust. By letting go of lingering anger or resentment, you show that you value the relationship more than the need to be right or hold on to past grievances. Number 10. The Stoic path to understanding women's needs, prioritizing empathy over ego. Understanding the needs and desires of others is a cornerstone of any successful relationship, and when it comes to women, empathy is key. In a world where emotions can often run high and societal expectations can cloud our judgment, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism offers valuable insights into how we can better understand and connect with women, not just intellectually, but emotionally and empathetically. The Stoic path to understanding women's needs isn't about fixing or controlling them, but rather about developing a deeper sense of empathy, where listening and emotional intelligence take precedence over ego and self-interest. The role of empathy in relationships. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It goes beyond sympathy, which is feeling sorry for someone, and involves a deeper connection with their emotional experience. Empathy helps you see the world from someone else's perspective and fosters an environment of compassion, trust, and respect. In the context of romantic relationships, understanding women's needs requires a heightened sense of empathy, recognizing not only what they say, but also how they feel, their desires, and their unspoken needs. Whether it's emotional support, attention, or simply being heard, women's needs are often expressed indirectly, and it's through empathy that we can truly meet those needs. Stoicism teaches us that we are often too consumed by our own thoughts and emotions, which can lead to misunderstanding others. By focusing on empathy and detaching from our own ego, we can shift the focus from me to them, and in doing so, improve our relationships in a way that's rooted in understanding and respect. Prioritize empathy over ego. At the core of Stoic philosophy is the idea of ego transcendence, the belief that we should not let our own desires, fears, or insecurities dominate our interactions with others. The Stoics recognized that the ego often distorts our understanding of the world and our relationships, causing us to react based on pride, insecurity, or the need to be right. In a relationship, when we allow our ego to take precedence, we become more focused on self-validation than understanding the other person's point of view. For example, if a woman is upset or expressing frustration, the ego-driven response might be to defend ourselves, dismiss her feelings, or justify our actions. This approach can block meaningful communication and create distance in the relationship. Instead, Stoicism teaches us to practice humility and to listen without judgment. We are reminded that our partner's needs and emotions are just as valid as our own, and that responding with humility and understanding creates space for open dialogue. When we prioritize empathy over ego, we allow ourselves to be present for the other person, recognizing their humanity and valuing their emotional experience. Practice active listening and reflection. One of the most powerful tools for understanding women's needs is the practice of active listening. Active listening is a key Stoic practice that involves focusing all your attention on the speaker, without thinking about your response or getting distracted by your own thoughts. It's not just about hearing words, it's about understanding the emotion behind the words. When your partner shares her thoughts, concerns, or feelings, resist the urge to interrupt, advise, or fix the situation immediately. Instead, listen carefully and attentively, and then reflect on what you've heard. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus advocated for a thoughtful, reflective approach to communication, suggesting that we take a moment to process what's been said before responding. This allows us to avoid knee-jerk reactions and to respond more thoughtfully. In practice, this might look like saying, "I understand that you're feeling frustrated because X happened. Can you tell me more about how you're feeling?" This kind of reflective listening shows empathy and encourages the other person to share more deeply. It also shifts the focus away from defending yourself or fixing the situation to truly understanding your partner's perspective. Avoid judgment and offer emotional support. Another important Stoic lesson when it comes to understanding women's needs is the avoidance of judgment. Stoicism teaches us that external events are not inherently good or bad. It's our judgments about those events that create emotional turmoil. Similarly, when women express their feelings or needs, it's essential to avoid rushing to judgment, labeling their emotions as irrational or unnecessary. Instead, try to meet their emotions with compassion. Whether a woman is feeling anxious, sad, or frustrated, your role is not to dismiss her feelings or minimize her needs, but to offer a space where she feels safe to express herself. Responding with patience and understanding allows her to feel heard and validated, which is often more important than offering immediate solutions. When women feel that their emotions are being acknowledged and respected, it strengthens the emotional bond in the relationship. Emotional support in this sense doesn't mean solving problems or fixing things. It means providing a supportive environment where both partners feel comfortable expressing themselves without fear of judgment. Understand the importance of non-verbal communication. A key aspect of understanding women's needs is recognizing that non-verbal communication often speaks louder than words. Stoicism emphasizes self-awareness, and this extends to being aware of how we communicate non-verbally as well. A lot of the needs women have in relationships are expressed through body language, tone of voice, and subtle cues, rather than direct statements. For instance, if a woman is feeling stressed or overwhelmed, she might not say it directly. However, her body language, such as closed-off posture or avoidance of eye contact, may indicate something is wrong. Recognizing and responding to these nonverbal signals is part of the Stoic practice of attentiveness. By observing these cues and responding with empathy, you can better understand her needs even before she articulates them verbally. Paying attention to nonverbal cues shows a deep level of attentiveness and care. You might say something like, "I can tell something's been bothering you. Would you like to talk about it?" This opens up a space for her to share, making her feel understood without needing to explicitly state what's on her mind. Develop emotional resilience to support her needs. Lastly, Stoicism teaches us to cultivate emotional resilience, which can be crucial when supporting someone else's emotional needs. Relationships are complex, and there will be moments when your partner expresses pain, disappointment, or frustration. While it's essential to understand her needs, it's equally important to have the emotional fortitude to stay grounded and calm in those moments. Emotional resilience is about not being overwhelmed by the emotions of others, especially during difficult conversations. It's about maintaining your inner peace while offering emotional support. In practice, this means not taking things personally or reacting impulsively when your partner is upset. Instead, you stay calm, composed, and focused on supporting her without letting your own emotions cloud the situation. This Stoic approach helps you to be a stable pillar during times of emotional turmoil, which is something that women and any partner deeply appreciate. When you can remain emotionally steady, even when faced with emotional challenges, you create a safe and secure environment for your partner to express herself freely. Conclusion: in relationships, especially with women, true understanding comes from looking beyond surface-level interactions and connecting at an emotional and empathetic level. By embracing the Stoic philosophy, we learn that understanding and meeting the needs of our partners doesn't require controlling them, but rather understanding ourselves. The Stoic principles of self-awareness, emotional resilience, and rational thinking provide the foundation for creating deeper, more meaningful connections built on respect, empathy, and mutual growth. When we detach from ego and focus on listening attentively, avoiding judgment, and offering emotional support, we cultivate a relationship dynamic where both partners feel heard, valued, and understood. Stoicism teaches us that the path to understanding women's needs lies in prioritizing empathy over self-interest and in developing the patience and emotional fortitude to navigate the complexities of their emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. By applying Stoic practices, we don't just aim to understand women's needs more effectively, but we also develop personal mastery, the ability to remain calm and composed in challenging emotional moments, to approach our partner's emotions with empathy, and to create space for open, honest communication. This approach leads to stronger, more harmonious relationships where both individuals feel emotionally secure and supported. In the end, Stoicism offers a powerful roadmap for transforming how we engage with our partners. It encourages us to let go of expectations, to embrace emotional maturity, and to prioritize the well-being of both ourselves and our partners. Understanding women's needs is not about figuring out the right answer or fixing anything. It's about being present, open, and emotionally available, with the wisdom to recognize that growth and connection are ongoing processes, not destinations. By following the Stoic path, we create not just better relationships, but a deeper, more compassionate understanding of the people we care about, beginning with our ability to listen, empathize, and respond with genuine emotional support. This wisdom, cultivated through patience and practice, can transform not only our relationships, but our lives as well, making them richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling.